Bibliosophie.
Hello, welcome. My name is Sophie. This is going to be a busy week and I'm hoping to get a lot of stuff done. We'll see. I'm hoping to get a lot of writing done. I have been stitching together some dissertation writing that I've been doing for the past couple of weeks, and I would like to send to my thesis director my kind of month of May, April writing this week. It's a deadline I don't actually have to meet, but I'm hoping to meet it. So I want to put together and edit a bunch of the writing that I've been doing. I have my birthday at the end of the week and I want to make it a good one. I'm not doing anything special, but I want to have a nice week. I'm preemptively feeling a lot of melancholy about my birthday and I don't want that. So I'm going to try to see people this week as much as I possibly can and see things and have cultural experiences and just feel like a human being in the world. I also have various medical stuff to take care of, so that also I want to offset with feeling like an artist. So it's a lot of stuff. Thinking is frustrating business. I am so daunted right now. I've been working and I just feel like the more I work, the more there is work to be done. That's kind of the problem with really diving into a project. And I'm currently in the phase where I'm really scintillating. I've mentioned this on this channel many times before. Once I really start getting into a groove, I get really kind of scared by that groove because it's so evident to me how much work I need to do. So it's hard. Also, the particular section that I'm working on is an early section. I think it will be my first chapter, and it's deeply esoteric, deeply philosophical, and I also need to kind of make the argument for why there is worth in my work at all. So, no pressure or anything. It's also coming from so many sources of my own writing, a lot of journal entries that I need to streamline. And so, yeah, I am daunted. If I can give myself a birthday present, it is to have a coherent working draft of all of these little bits and pieces, big bits and pieces actually, that I can work on. Let's see if I can do it. I need to go outside now and touch grass. It's unclear to me how much pleasure reading I'm gonna do this week because I'm in such a tunnel of writing, but stay tuned. I'm gonna take another break, and yes, I've lost my shirt.
A lot of fun you are.
I wanted a small piece, but it's not possible.
This is a birthday package from my mother, and she's wrapped up some various things from around the house to send to me, and I'm not going to open them all. I've opened 4 really lovely things, including 2 books, one of which was my grandmother's, which she got when she was 12 or 13, so that's incredible. It's The Adventures of Robinson, how do you say it in English? Crusoe in French, Robinson Crusoe. Yeah, oh, this is lovely. All right, a quick update. I started Rachel Cusk's outline yesterday morning. I mentioned in my most recent video on hyped books that I have previously read almost all of this. I actually never quite finished it when I read it, I think it was summer 2020, something like that. I read everything but I think the last chapter or 2. So basically, I know the book, but I've been meaning to reread it for a while, finish it and reread it, because I didn't super latch onto it. It was my first Rachel Cusk, and I have since kind of figured out her voice and style and themes more, and I generally like her. She's not necessarily my favorite author, but I generally do like her. So I've been wanting to re-explore this, finish it, and potentially read the whole trilogy. I am indeed liking this more than I remember then. I think I was just not in the right frame of mind. It was a difficult time for everybody, basically, and I just couldn't quite latch on. I am finding it difficult to read anything because I feel guilty anytime I read anything that isn't research right now. I've gone from 0 to 100, it seems, in terms of my commitment to my thesis. I did finish a section. I sent my advisor in my short first chapter. I'm sure it will be changed in many ways, and probably it will be expanded. It's currently under 15 pages, so it's a short little thing. But yeah, I'm actually quite happy with the work of it. We'll see what she says. I also sent her another kind of chunk of analysis. I wrote today. This morning I had my first appointment of the day, which was a short, just blood draw. I get weekly blood tests. Very soon, in just a few minutes actually, I'm gonna head out to my second hospital visit of the day. And this one I'm anxious about. I'm gonna start radiation tomorrow. I think today I don't have a treatment, but I'm going to radiation oncology today for kind of final setup and things. I'm not actually completely sure what's happening today, which is partially why I am anxious, but I think my first radiation treatment should be tomorrow. So yeah, it feels, you know, weird and momentous and a little anxiety inducing, but I'll get used to it. I'll get into the groove of things. Is that it? That's it. Bye. It's so goddamn cold. Oh my god. So, big news. I combed my hair, I think for the first time since it started growing back. So we've reached another milestone. I now have long, luscious locks that need styling. Another milestone is that, surprise, I did in fact have radiation yesterday. I didn't realize that based on how it was listed in my calendar, but yep, I had my first dose of radiation. If you've ever had radiation, or if you know people who have, you know that it's really not a big deal. It's super short and you don't feel anything. Side effects are minimal and usually tend to come as the weeks pile up. So right now I don't feel any sort of way. Once you've had chemo, and especially the doses of chemo that I've had, radiation really is like much easier to deal with in many ways, at least the treatment itself. I tried and sometimes succeeded to read some outline while I was in the waiting room. It is hard. I try to make it a rule for myself to read while I'm in the waiting room rather than scroll, but it's hard to focus sometimes. It depends on the day. Sometimes I can really kind of lock in, and sometimes, especially when it's kind of a new waiting room, new procedure, new thing, I'm just, you know, wondering when I'm going to be called. Are we running late? Why, you know, etc. So I kind of only half succeeded. Things that I have noted. Oh, I don't think I even mentioned the premise of Outline is a writer, a rather Rachel Cuskian type of woman, is goes to Greece to teach a writer's workshop and has various conversations with people that she meets along the way or meets up with along the way there. One of the people that she has dinner with is another literary acquaintance, and they talk about a woman who's written a book that is a very Rachel Cuskian book. I didn't clock this the first time because this was my first Rachel Cusk, but I really laughed when I saw the novel, he said, concerns a woman painter whose artistic life is gradually being stifled by her domestic arrangements. Which, yeah, that describes a lot of the things that Rachel Cusk writes about, and specifically it really reminded me of Parade most recently, and also Second Place. So you get some kind of, this becomes a little bit of an or text for Rachel Cusk themes, which really amused me. The other thing that amused me is Wuthering Heights gets mentioned. I just finished it last night, actually. I have been also, surprised, reading Wuthering Heights. I mentioned it in my previous video, but I have actually been reading it and have finished it. I'm not going to talk about it in this vlog because I'm going to make another video about classics or revisiting books or something along those lines. Got to milk the content. But it gets mentioned here, and so it was sort of a funny little synergy. As you know, I love kind of tracking the references to other books that I find in the books that I'm reading. And so this one actually was really very perfect because they were simultaneous. Actually, the color scheme goes pretty well together. We've got, you know, the dreariest of dampness and hot sun, but they go well together. I'm going to try to finish outline soon. And my next book, I have decided my next fiction book is going to be The Coin by Yasmin Zaher, which I have out from the library as an ebook. It came in like a week ago, and I really want to get to it. So before I have to return it, I really, really want to get to it. It's short, I'm pretty sure, so I think I should be able to read it relatively quickly, but I really don't want to miss the opportunity of reading it because I've been waiting for it for a while and I really want to read it. I'm very curious about it. So that, I've decided, is the next order of business. I'm gonna head out pretty soon, in about an hour, for rehearsal, then radiation, then performance, so it's a long day. The performance is super short, or at least my part of it is really short, so it should be actually pretty chill to try to do everything, but it's momentous. This is the kind of marathon day that I used to have when I was a normal girl. All right, I'm tired. I finished outline. I actually just finished it moments ago, and it's left me feeling kind of pensive and a little hollow in the way that I often feel when I'm done with a book or a movie. I don't know if you also get that way. In particular with this book, I think that's particularly prone to happen because it is definitely a pensive book. Not a whole lot happens. In fact, basically nothing happens. This is a string of conversations that our Rachel Cusk type character has with people while she's in Athens, and they're talking about love and life and writing and, you know, kind of long considerations about things, people, interpersonal relationships. So it's a very, very pensive book. It's a book about people thinking through things. But I've also been thinking about the nature of the pensiveness in this book. In many ways, it's really not a very interior book because our protagonist is a bit of a cipher. She is a first-person narrator, but we kind of only get her view of life a little bit obliquely. She doesn't insert herself into the narrative of her own book that much in a lot of ways. We can guess at a lot of things and we kind of know some details about her life, but we don't even know her name. And in many ways, she kind of acts as a reflective mirror of these other characters who are telling long stretches of their life story. The protagonist is sort of like a collector. Dropped my phone, or rather my phone dropped itself, just yeeted itself off of the windowsill on which it currently sits again. What I was saying is that a very interesting thing that happens, correct me if I'm wrong, is that we get direct citations from the other characters, but I don't think we have direct citations of our protagonist. It will go, he said blah, blah, blah in quotation marks, but then she will reply not with direct quotation, but rather, I said that, and then it kind of continues the story onward. So with that, Cusk is really, really forcing perspective to be in our mind. She is really centering this unnamed protagonist as the key kind of into the story. We cannot ever forget that she is our means of hearing these other people's lives and stories, even if we actually don't really have so much direct story of the unnamed narrator. We also can't forget that this is so very much from her point of view. And even though she doesn't really seem to insert herself so much in the story, or the story doesn't seem to be so much about her in so many ways, it is kind of incontrovertibly about her, because it is about her experience of other people's experiences. And I'm also very interested in the themes around what makes the difference between a sequence of events and a story. This comes up in the writing class that the protagonist is teaching. So what is a story? What is just a collection of facts? And what makes it a story? What makes a narrative? What makes a shape, outline? By extension, what makes a character? What makes a personality, a persona, or a person? So that's very interesting. Obviously, I got a lot more out of this one on a reread. I'm glad that I dipped back into it. Will I read the other two in the trilogy? I suspect so. I have them also, not in the lovely paperback, in the hardback edition. I found even more points in common with Rachel Cusk's other books, so that you can kind of be a detective and map all the ways in which probably Rachel Cusk herself is writing herself into her books. I think it's dangerous to think that an author is only writing their life over and over and over again, and especially we tend to think of women's stories as being just their personal autobiographies written over and over and over again. But I do think that Rachel Cusk is writing Rachel Cusk over and over and over again in ways that I think are largely interesting. Next order of business, as I mentioned, is going to be to start the coin. I'll probably start it this afternoon or this evening. And I have a new toy, or at least new to me. It is not in fact new at all, but yes, I have a Kobo. I have been using my iPad as an e-reader for years, and I mean, it works, it's fine. However, I'm really glad to have something smaller, less fragile, that doesn't have glare. Yeah, I'm quite happy to be starting to use this guy. So we'll see what my experience is like. Yesterday was too much for me, ultimately. I had too many things to do, too much running around, and it was made much, much worse by the fact that I had an unforeseen emergency at home. So I had to rush back here, deal with some things, had a leak, and it's partially resolved now, but that put me in a terrible mood, and it was stressful, and I was trying to field phone calls while in the subway, while waiting for radiation. It was just not the best situation. I saw Ben briefly, and we walked around, and that was really lovely. And then I left him, okay, bye, great to see you, because I had to hop on the subway. That was a kind of nice little bit. It was really nice to perform, but then also kind of put me in a weird headspace. I don't know. I have a lot of creeping melancholy, but she's tired. So I woke up kind of hungover with melancholy and fatigue. I'm working it out though.
This lover of mine. rags and whatnot.
It's my birthday. I've been having a really nice day. Last night I went to the Met. I went to see Salome and I had a great time. And today, this afternoon, I went to see 4 short Caryl Churchill plays at the Public, and that was wonderful. So I've been having a really lovely experience. I'm not going to say anything more about reading. I did start The Coin yesterday evening on the subway, but yeah, I'm going to close out the vlog here. Thank you for watching. Bye.